why I put it as invisible addictions is because it's getting, as a therapist, practicing therapist, we are getting so many cases, especially the 5 behavior addictions today I'm going to focus on, like gaming, gambling, gadget addiction, social media. So these are the important. Another invisible addiction is a porn addiction among the adolescents. Often it is normalized, like behavior addictions, we don't consider them as an addiction because we feel it is quite normal for somebody to watch a phone for a longer time. It affects the mood, it affects sleep, studies, relationships, and self control also. There is something called a reward pathway. It stimulates certain feel good chemicals called dopamine. So these dopamine create this pathway, whatever the black one we're talking about, there's a surge of dopamine release, and that is where we experience. Not only that, and this green part is the one which is responsible for that surge of dopamine in our brain. Once this particular reward is not given to the brain, this is what the negative things, they can't control their impulses. When there is a control is lost, where you feel, hey, I'm doing it again and again though I don't want to do it, and it is affecting my daily life, and I feel stuck because I'm coming, I'm at least 5 days I'm able to manage, and the sixth day I'm going back to square one. So this is the times where you can seek help if you identify. Hi everyone. Today I'm going to focus on behavioral addictions. My earlier talk was on substance use prevention. In adolescence, that's what I focused more on. Today also I'm going to address, this is for the adolescents, parents and educators. I think those kind of group are present in this webinar, I believe. So here, why I put it as invisible addictions is because it's getting, as a therapist, practicing therapist, we are getting so many cases, especially the 5 behavior addictions today I'm going to focus on, like gaming, gambling, gadget addiction, social media. So these are the important. Another invisible addiction is a porn addiction among the adolescents. So these are the things which I'm going to throw a light. I may not have a deeper discussion on it because of the time constraint, but we'll try and understand these issues and what is that collectively we can do in order to prevent and manage, and see that it doesn't go in depth for us to deal with, because substance use is where rehabilitation is a kind of a laborious effort both for the therapist and also the family. So now we are seeing this problem is surfacing, so how we can curb it at the earlier stage is what is my attempt today. Why to talk about the behavior addictions today? Because here, when I said it is invisible, most of the time whenever we use the word addiction, we believe it is something related to chemical use or substance use. But here it is, there is no substance use involved, but the brain is getting addicted. So when one of the slide I'm going to talk about how addiction affects the brain mechanism, in that we will understand it is more or less similar to how the brain chemistry changes to the substance use disorders. The similar kind of patterns we'll see in this behavior addictions. And another thing is increasing screen exposure from early childhood. I think we all might have noticed in various movies as a fun or a pun, people use these kind of, I happen to see a recent one where the child absorbs lot of negative things, by observing the OTT content. So it is projected as a fun way, but it's a serious problem, I would say. And I'm going to share one of my experiences in one of the slides, why it is at early childhood when it is exposed, why it is a problem. And adolescent, this is a phase of life where they become a high risk group or vulnerable group because of the brain development phase. And another point also is because of the academic stress, there is a loneliness and instant gratification culture. We all are like into the shorts and reels, culture, or the kind of phase we are in. where sustenance of attention, concentration seems to be very difficult, and we need a pleasure immediately. We can't wait for a long period of time. And it is not just now, it's a global pattern or a kind of thing which we are observing. And often it is normalized, like behavior addictions. We don't consider them as an addiction because we feel it is quite normal for somebody to watch a phone for a longer time. It became a normalized pattern or a kind of a culture right now. And it is also ignored unless the damage seems to be visible in some of the cases. That is where I said lot of student community, parents experiencing this problem are coming up. I'm seeing these trends happening, as a therapist since 1 year. So why it is, it affects the mood, it affects sleep, studies, relationships, and self-control also. So that is the reason probably we need to talk about this today. And what are behavioral addictions? Whenever we say any activity, we repeatedly do that. That is what it becomes a kind of habit. But it is when we say it as a dependency, when there is a lot of loss of control, when there is an increased tolerance, and there is a harm, but they are unable to stop despite facing the consequences. That is where we see that, or we term it as an addiction. So here repetitive behaviors, and it is happening without using the substances. So that is the reason we say it is a behavior addiction. There is a loss of control, and most of the time all these activities have a temporary pleasure, but they're long-term problems. And despite, I said, one of the indicator is using with, despite facing the harmful consequences. And it affects the very important aspects of the life, that is the study, sleep, mood, relationship. If a person is an adult, the work, all these, finance is also one of the behavior addictions we talk about. So these are all areas are affecting. That is where we term that as an addiction. And examples of behavior addictions like gaming addiction, social media, internet, smartphone use, gambling, pornography, shopping, food related behaviors. These are the few behavioral addictions I have cited. But the first five is the one which we are going to talk briefly today. And as I was talking about the brain mechanism, there is something called a reward pathway. If you just see this slide, the green part, pink part, the purple part, there is a pathway, the line which is what happens is whenever a person is, see, this is there since the existence of human beings, survival mechanism. We survived by, what happens is whenever we repeatedly do certain activities, because that is giving us some kind of a pleasure or some kind of either survival or a pleasure. So what happens is whenever we encounter with that, for example, the substances people use, it affects the prefrontal, no, it reaches to this or it activates this prefrontal cortex. Whenever it happens, it stimulates certain feel good chemicals called dopamine. So these dopamine create this pathway, whatever the black one we're talking about, there's a surge of dopamine release, and that is where we experience. Not only that, and this green part is the one which is responsible for that surge of dopamine in our brain. What happens is whenever I'm using any of these kind of the I mentioned, gaming or gambling, or why people do it again and again despite losing lot of things, because of this dopamine surge. And whenever this dopamine is released, what happens is our brain recognizes there's a memory center where it says, hey, I'm feeling good in doing this. I'm feeling good by watching this content. I'm feeling good. So that is where we call it as chasing high or high day experience. So what happens is these pleasurable activities, it saves that, in a memory queue. Like you eat a good food in some restaurant. So your memory queue is a one. Whenever you feel like doing it again, that memory queue is stimulates and then reminds you, oh, so and so place you is good. You just can go there and eat kind of. So these memory traces. And another important thing is there is an impulse control decision making center also. We are talking about this lavender, purple the color of this brain. So here the prefrontal cortex, the cognitive abilities, that is where this impulse control and decision making aspects will be stimulated. So what is happening here is because of that brain is stimulated consistently because of these activities repeatedly, and this depletion of this particular dopamine sensors, the person start, once you withdraw that particular activity, like in a poll question, it is asked, suppose you are not watching your phone for a long time, what is going to happen? Do you experience, anxiety, irritability? Or somebody in a social media have posted something and you didn't get likes. How do you feel? You feel depressed. So this is what happens when there is a withdrawn of certain kind of a stimuli. So the over stimulus of the pleasurable chemicals is happening to experience high. And once this particular reward is not given to the brain, this is what the negative things, they can't control their impulses. For example, like we have seen child, when the phone is taken away, the child start throwing tantrums, getting irritable, banging the door, yelling at the person, or breaking things. So why that poor impulse control? Because of the absence of that particular chemical in the brain, because of whatever is giving reward is being disconnected for the child. So this there will be increased anxiety, irritability, and depression they experience once they don't get what they want. This is where the signs of addiction behind these behaviors is explained. And why adolescents are most vulnerable? One is because adolescent age is where they have a identity formation stage. And the next important thing is we need to understand up to 25 years their brain is still under developing phase. So the decision part is very important during this phase. That is where we are more worried about. They acquire this kind of addictions during this stage. It will be very, very difficult for us to deal with them and bring them out of it because the damage is going to be high. Peer validation and comparison is another thing which is very important in adolescent phase. That is where the peer influence plays a major role here. And academic stress, because they are into the serious academic or trying to, there will be goals pertaining to their academic and career, and that is important phase of their life. There will be a lot of social pressure, and poor emotional regulation skills is again which is identified in adolescent age, because in this stage where the emotions are taken over the intelligence, so most of the decision making is emotional compared to the intellectual abilities. And also this is a phase where they have a easy act. See, post covid we have seen that every child is exposed to the gadgets, not one but multiple gadgets, because they have online classes, their assignments are done. There is like a traditional way of going to library, sitting, referring books, and then taking the, now the AI has come, so we cannot literally detach the child from any gadget right now. So that is a kind of era we are living in. So that is another challenge, and adolescent becomes more vulnerable because of all these reasons. And for all ages, what are the common warning signs? This is for all behavior addictions. I have just collectively put it as irritability when their behavior is stopped. And I have seen an adult, there is suddenly the OTT platform, that subscription got expired, and it was not renewed that 3 4 days because somebody's account they're watching. So that person could experience the kind of depression, restlessness, and then gloomy, and not able to concentrate on anything, just because of the thing whatever they were doing, it got disrupted. So this kind of behaviors we see in adults. And there is a decline in academics or work. Adult, it is a work. And when I'm talking about the work, it is even the homemakers. I have a case where the woman is like, she stopped cooking, taking care of the kids, because all through the time she is in the YouTube shorts, and and only once she makes cooking without any kind of this is a complaint from the family, where they feel that she's disconnected from the people and the family, and then she's always engaged in watching this YouTube content. That is something which is alarming for the family, because despite you bring, it is a challenge for us also, because when I'm talking about therapies, it's not that easy that whatever we say the person will listen. And because you see, substance, there is a controlled environment and you have to go and purchase. But here, the gadget is within your hands, and you just cannot. We are living in an era where you just cannot detach the gadget from a person. So the behavior change has to come from a cognitive level. That is where it is a challenge for the therapist also. There is sleep disturbance, mood swings we see, social withdrawal. This particular person I'm talking about, she refused to go out from the apartment. She confined herself all through the day in her room watching the content, not just in the daytime, even in the night, 2 o'clock till 2 o'clock. And the neglect of the responsibilities in such a way, like husband complains, I have to get make the kids ready for the school, buy the ready-made snacks for their boxes and all that. So this is a kind of a phase, they're unable to tell, because whenever you snatch away the phone or try to talk it out, she becomes, it happened one day she walked out of the house with the phone and then she didn't respond to them for 2, 3 days. This is a kind of a scenario, or, it is very scary for the family because they don't know what to do with that kind of situation. So that kind of social withdrawal we see. There is a lying, secrecy. I'm going to talk about this particular thing when I talk about the gadget addiction in one of the kids. I mean, what lens a person can go is what I'm trying to present a picture with the cases. And loss of interest in offline activities. So I tell you this particular one more case where it is again a middle-aged woman where she stopped completely talking to neighbors, going out for the cultural activities in the community, and she finds an excuse of some other health thing, but she lands up only watching the OTT content. It's never ending kind of thing. That is something, which is challenging even for us to work on when we see these kind of symptoms. So I'll quickly go into this five addictions I'm talking about today. One is internet and smartphone addiction. So excessive non-academic screen use. All the children, whoever I have interacted, we are doing a project in Hyderabad and with the commissionerate on safety school club, and one of the thing is a digital well-being. So here we address a lot of issues about the cyber crimes. Not only that, digital etiquette is also one of the things which we focus on. So here we have seen when we interacted with a lot of students, it all starts with doing your homework or submission of your kind of thing. The gadget use or the system use will start, but it turns to be non-academic screen use becomes, if I'm using half an hour for this, then the other 2 hours will be. And the children are so smart. I tell you, in a case study where this boy started having multiple gadgets, like a phone he has, tablet he has, the laptop he has, and also the desktop. So for various gadgets, what he does is, like, when parents notice this boy is not sleeping and watching something in the phone, this the phone. He shifted to tablet. Tablet was like during COVID he has used, but which is like dormant. They forgot that he has a iPad kind of. He started hiding it in a bathroom, and whenever he goes, he made it a pattern. By the time parents realized, they thought, oh, every 1 hour I think he takes for his hygiene part, but actually he is watching this internet or whatever content in the bathroom for quite long time. And he keeps like how we see in a substance use, the secret stash we call it as, the similar way this boy was like keeping this secret. He even started watching, because see, all of our smartphones has too many, more than 50, 60 apps, right? So he downloaded a few of the things in the mother's phone also, because she said, don't watch your phone. If you want to interact with whatever friends or school friends, you talk from my phone. He used to take and he downloaded whatever he wants to watch, and he started doing that. And he also went to an extent of deleting the history because mother cannot trace out this. So see, imagine the technology, the right side is you are acing it to learn the techniques. At the same time, you also are using the same thing to manipulate your condition with the family. So this is another problem we see for non-academic screen use, fear of missing out. We see lot of female clientele. I have seen that whatever they feel, that if I don't check in, I don't know what's happening in the world. I am missing out even one day. It happened. Many children refuse to go even for the school trips, because the few schools, they don't allow the mobile phones during the trips. So the reason for not going to the trip is, no, no, no. If I'm not allowed to check the phone, I don't know what is going, how much I'm going to miss out. everybody will discard me unless I have a screen on online presence. People don't, forget me, kind of a, that is a belief. I see the children are, developing in their head. And compulsive checking and disturbed sleep cycle, all these are the symptoms of this internet smartphone addiction. And I was talking about a case where the constant use of phone for so many hours, and this but particular boy dropped the grades, and whenever the phone is taken away, he expresses that passive anger that is expressed by not doing things like, he stop eating food. And the way he answers is like, very detached. He looks very apathetic. So the parents were concerned about his behavior because he doesn't seems to be like him. So avoid family interaction. So this is a kind of a showing anger towards the family members. And he constantly complains of the physical ailments like headache, eye strain. So he misses because he was seeing the phone for constantly for 4 5 hours in the night. He can't get up. So in order to skip the school, he keeps complaining of stomach ache, headache, and all that. So this becomes a kind of a pattern for him where they had to seek professional help. So here we have seen that this boy basically started doing these things to escape from the academic stress. And what started as an enjoyment for the people, it is no longer. The reason changes after a certain period of time. So that is something which we have noticed. And why parents must be alert today, why I have put this picture, why? Because I have done one observational study in preschools. So where interacting with the head of the preschools, what we have understood is they wanted a talk to the parents, the head of the institute or that particular preschools, where they found that children are not eating food and they are demanding to be given phones. Unless there is a phone, they don't eat food. They start throwing tantrums. And every child, if it is, it becomes so difficult for the people to manage their behaviors. And when they complain these things to, the family members, the parents said, why don't you just give phone for 10 15 minutes, he will finish eating. That is the reason I put it as parenting mistakes, because we use phone as a babysitter. That is what post COVID, lot of children who are toddler age or born after 2020, this is a serious problem. Even the people they are put in a preschools, their behaviors are unmanageable by the staff because their early gadget exposure. And you just today, you just go in your community and see the children, or even just go to the shopping mall or some public place, you see the child is mother is engaged in some other activity, the child is given a phone so that the child will be calm and quiet. It is like a pacifiers, what we call it as. That is where the phones have become pacifiers for the kids. So this is something parents should avoid. You understand the problem is not you make them become habituated for that, and now you want to snatch, and then you see the absolutely negative responses from the child. So this is where this is a challenge both for the parent and the child, and also the person who is treating them or intervening them. So here the parental mistakes we need to avoid is like, it's not that easy, just three sentences I put: avoid phone as a babysitter. Because once we start telling that, mother says like, I have so many things to do, how can I deal with the child when the child is so throwing tantrums? This is the only way I can make the child eat, and my work will be easy if I give him a phone and feed the give the food. He will finish eating and all. We are failing to understand here the child doesn't have a mindful eating, and obesity is another problem because he's just dumping himself with the food whatever you're giving. And all the Indian parents have this kind of obsession about overfeeding the child. Okay, so here it is what is happening is the child is not learning from the early age the healthy eating habits. And unless there is a gadget, the person is not eating. That is a kind of connections they have established in the brain. And here parents also, they have One time they give the phone because they want to ease their burden, another time they restrict. So the child is also confused why this duality in, the rules and all. So that is another mistake we make. Another, I'm also using we because I'm also a parent. So sometimes to ease, this is what, but once I understand the deeper, repercussions of, we have to foresee the, once you start foreseeing, it is a tough, but we have to take the tough stand. And ignoring early signs is, that is another important thing. We know red flags are there, but we fail to see them, miss them at early phase. And once it becomes so, kind of a critical and chronic, and that is the time you want to intervene, that is going to be an exhaustive affair for us. And prevention strategies for teachers, it is digital literacy. I was talking about, we introduced in a school digital etiquette. I think almost all schools are, I don't know, but Cyberabad, we are doing this. And there is, teachers need to observe the span of attention, how it is changing, how the child is. That is something which you can observe and then correct it at the early stage. If I think almost all CBSE schools have counselors, if you don't have, immediately reach out to this, any kind of mental health professionals, so where you can help the child at the early stage to reset, come back, pull him back, from this phase of getting more deeper into this addiction. For parents, role modeling is important because you cannot put a rule where you cannot follow. So no phone at means it is for the parents also. Unless the parent is a 24 by 7 jobs like doctors and police force. Otherwise, let us be role models for our children. Consistent and clear boundary setting is very, very important. So when we are saying boundary setting, there are certain house rules we all have to follow. And if it is not followed, what is the reward or a punishment? What we are talking about is to be implemented. That is where the child will believe that it is not just on a face value it is told, but it is going to be practiced. Avoid, another very important thing, never use the phone as a reward or punishment. Okay, if you do this, I'll give you phone back, cannot be negotiation with the child. So that cannot, we are violating our own boundaries then. So open communication is always important. What is happening? Don't talk when the child is not okay, but start talking when the child is okay. So that is where you are establishing your connection with the child, where the child can come and say whatever the issues they have. That kind of a platform is very important between, because it's not just behavior addiction, any kind of mental health issue. We see there is a huge gap between a child and a parent. So try to bridge that gap or reduce the gap. That is where you solve a lot of your problems for your children. Encourage lot of offline activities, engage them in lot of physical activities, especially. That's very important. See how you can do that, become part of your child's, hobby life also. That is for parents. And for adolescents, you have to set yourself screen free hours. It's not that easy as I'm just pointers I'm putting, but yeah, but at least you have to, within 1 hour, this is what I can deliver. But trying to have the discipline and the routine or structure, like how our school have a timetable, we all grew up with that. So let's have a timetable, keep that. See, I'm not asking just become, a kind of detached from every gadget and all. It's not possible in this era, so even aware of it. But having that screen free hours only for the academic purpose, yes, I'm going to watch TV or play game, but this is going to be so strict adherence. That is what is a discipline which we need to bring in our life. It is going to be lifelong issue. It's not just like adolescent. You are developing now, but it becomes stronger. It will become difficult for you to get rid of it. Offline hobbies, as much as possible, having offline hobbies is very, very important, especially weekend. Go out, start getting engaged in group games nowadays, trekking, bird watching, photo, whatever it is, name it, and number of hobbies we can get ourselves engaged in. So get into those kind of thing and have this digital detox challenges, like I'm not going to have the gadget on, so and so day kind of thing. So you know where you stand when you do all these things. This is about the gadget addiction, how to protect yourself, screen time limits, keep gadgets away during sleep, especially every person whoever comes to our place. The first thing I'll say is after 9, you just keep outside all your phones. You're not in unless you're in an emergency kind of thing. Put your alarm in, your, because see, our mind manipulates, one of the clients, no, 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 I listen to the song from my phone. So you invest on what is this, hey Google or Alexa, and then do it, but don't do it with your phone, because when your phone is with you, you start doing n number of other things along with whatever you want. You want to manipulate your mind saying that I want to phone because of this purpose, but you rather, apart from that purpose, you'll end up doing other things. So keep gadgets away during sleep, balance your online offline life. And important thing is why I put a stress management in everything is we are using these behavior addictions as a coping mechanisms to overcome our stress. Whenever you feel stressful, you just want to forget yourself and then get engrossed in either watching reels, OTT, or playing games online. So that is the reason, unless you learn that stress management, you really cannot overcome this, or you will not be using this as a coping mechanism. So when to seek help? When there is a control is lost, where you feel, hey, I'm doing it again and again, though I don't want to do it, and it is affecting my daily life, and I feel stuck because I'm coming, I'm at least 5 days I'm able to manage, and the sixth day I'm going back to square one. So this is the times where you can seek help if you identify. And the psychological intervention for this is we use CBT techniques, cognitive behavior control therapy techniques for the impulse control, time management, emotional regulation skills. We put it on DBT skills, and family counseling, because we talked about how parents can play a role, teachers can play a role. So we also engage the family, and problem solving skills, assertive skills, where the child is able to say no to peers when they are invited. For especially online, they interact post school. That's what is the children nowadays. They come back and they start, you know using mobiles to form a groups and engaging themselves in. This is one of the other thing now. Because of the less time, I cannot talk about one interesting case study where the group started doing the cyberbullying by forming groups, where the school had to identify this group of children and then restrict them, getting into certain kind of social media apps. Mindful practices is another thing, which is what is we suggest. So that is about the internet disorder.